Good afternoon, everyone. This is a new lesson for Module 6 for the fourth quarter. This is the Science Tests and Revises Survey Questionnaires. This will be the first lesson for um, this module, and you will learn how to write survey questionnaires. This will also help you develop your writing and research, especially because I believe that in practical research, um, you will be asked to write a survey questionnaires or whatever instrument later on that will be used to gather information accordingly with your researches. And so let's proceed. The learning objectives for these lessons are the following. First, understand carefully the objectives and directions in each lesson. Second, comprehend well each lesson discussed. Third, engage actively in every activity provided. Fourth, answer honestly the pretest and post-test given. Experience actual survey in your community using social media platforms. That because in an actual survey, you can actually use social media platforms such as Facebook, Google, Gmails, Google Forms, and the like. Write a survey report that will open doors for improvement. And so, well, since it was part of the instruction that you have to work on the um, uh, pre-test, these are the things that you have to do. So consider yourself as a respondent and answer the questions. On the space before each number, write T if you think the question is clear and understandable, and if it does not create any difficulty. And then if there's confusion, write F. There's actually a Google form made for this one, but you can also make use of your paper if you cannot open it on Google Form. So this is the link where you are going to answer. Let me just show you. Let's open the link so that it will be easy for us to understand what is going to happen. So here you go. Now, what you have to do here is to really respond to the questions here. Now, of course, do not forget about writing your name on it. And then later on, wait, let me just hide the other part so that you will see the rest of the part of this survey test. So the pre-test for this one is that you only have to choose true or false. And where in selecting true or false, you will have to identify if the question expresses a good idea, a clear idea, or understandable question without any difficulty or confusion. And F if it's confusing. And so with this one, you are given 2 points for each item. So the first one is, what medium of communication do you use to become updated with current events? The choices are magazine, radio, internet, newspaper, television. Is the question clear? If it's clear, then you select true. If it's not, you select false. So that's what's going to happen. Just like that, the next question is, what is your most usual means to become updated with current events? That is your choices: magazines, newspaper, radio, television, or internet, wherein you guys will have to select. Okay, let me just click that one. Okay, you're just going to select if the question expresses a clear statement. So that is true or false. So just like that. And then select in the boxes opposite of the 3 questions you selected below. That would be option A, option B, if there are choices anyway. So is it clear or not? If it's not, then you select false. But if it's clear, you select true. And then the next one would be, below are the features of camping holiday. Indicate their importance to you by numbering them from 1 to 4, where 1 is the most important. So people, open, atmosphere, cost, air mobility. Was the question clear? If it is, then select true. If it's not, select false. And then so on and so forth. So The question for the next one is, have you been to an out-of-town trip recently? Then, have you been to an out-of-town trip in the last 2 weeks? Or do you think women should eat less than and exercise more? Are you against or ban on marijuana? Give your age on 1st June 2019 blank years. Are you under 18, 18 to 65, or over 65? Those are the questions that are set for the pretest. Again, what you have to do here is to select true if the questions are related to an understandable questions, and if there's no difficulty or confusion, while F if there's confusion and difficulty. Okay, let's get back to our presentation. Here you go. So with that one, you can answer through the link and then later submit it to me. Okay. Of course, the questions will also be displayed later on this video, so you can get back to that one so that you can answer the quiz as well without going through the forms. Pero if it's easier for you to answer using the form, then go on po. Okay, so that's the pretest. Just knowing if the questions states a clear and concise questions at all. Okay, now the lesson is the reports, survey questionnaire, and methods of administering it. So these are the things that we are going to learn for today. Right. Now, the types of the reports are survey report, laboratory or scientific technical report, and field report. Now, reports are more likely needed for business, scientific, and technical subjects and in the workplace. Reports are actually given so that a person, an employee, a student, or whoever is working will be able to record whatever he has done for the day or the week, or sometimes even for the month. And so what happens with the activities that are being brought in the workplace, that's the content of the report. Okay. Well, to be specific, there are differences between survey, laboratory or scientific technical reports, and field reports, and these are the following. For survey report, it is written after getting data from a survey. That means that when you usually what they do is that they ask questions from people. Okay, they ask questions such as, well, personal information, name, but name should also be or always be optional, and then age, educational background. Sometimes they are being asked with recent activities, or like aside from recent activities, well, practices, beliefs, or things that we can survey about, especially when we talk about a topic. Okay, so it collects people's responses or answers about a particular issue or topic. That is the objective of a survey report. Now, the next one is called laboratory or scientific technical report. This is commonly called lab report. So it is written in a formal and organized manner. They make use of tables, charts, and the like. So they present results or findings from experiments, specifically because these are from laboratory or scientific reports. And so what are the things that they have found out from the recent experiment are part of the laboratory or scientific technical report. We also have here field report. The field report is sometimes called trip report. So when you go to a trip, when you go to places, that's what you're going to report about. Now, they describe and analyze a systematic observation. And so more likely on agricultural trips, that's where field reports are made use of. Okay, now in this lesson, we will be very much particular with survey questions as part of our lesson, because this is the main topic, no? Now, survey questionnaires are among the types of reports, and survey is the most popularly and widely used as it is the easiest way to gather information about any topic. any topic actually, from especially when there's an issue of numbers of peoples or groups. So it is easier for them to gather information if it's done in a survey questionnaire. So the data gathering tool composed of a set of questions used in a survey and is utilized in various fields such as politics, research, marketing, media, and so on. It is intended to gather data, views, opinions, and others from individuals or a particular group of people. That is particularly because in a survey questionnaire, they with the sets of respondents, they're given a questionnaire that is particularly for that group of people only. Okay, so there are different methods of administering a survey. The methods are the following. First is personal approach. This is according to Sarah Mason Serra of 2012. The administering survey is a systematic way of achieving certain goals. And the first part of which she introduced is the personal approach, which has two phases. These are face-to-face structured interview and telephone survey. For personal approach, this process of conducting the survey involves the researcher. It is used to probe the answers of the respondents and at the same time to observe the behavior of the respondents either individually or as a group. If you have already met the interview forms, survey questionnaires, and the like in research, then it is easier for you to understand this. So it means that for personal approach, the researcher himself will be the one to gather the information to also get the behavior of the respondents, wherein the researcher will be able to see if the respondent is well telling the truth or observing if the gestures are right and the like. And so for face-to-face structured interview, the interview is set personally and the people involved face each other in order to gather the necessary information. That is when you and the respondent, you as a researcher and the respondent is actually in a face-to-face situation. So, kaharap niyo yung isa't isa while you are asking the question. So, questions on the survey are asked directly to the respondent by the researcher. So, for example, I'll be the researcher and you'll be the respondent. If my survey questionnaire is ready, then I will be asking you to join me and we will discuss the questions. All right, so sorry about that one. Now, the face-to-face structured interview is that it is necessary for you to, as a researcher, to be with your respondent so you can directly ask the respondent about your questions prepared for the survey. Now, for telephone survey, this is done using, of course, telephone or cellular phones. While you were calling them or while you're calling the individual respondent, you will be giving out certain questions, and then this method is made use when you're asking consequential questions. So you're not in face with your respondent, however, you are asking them about your topic selected for administering your survey using telephone. So again, for person, it is considered as personal approach because you as a researcher is directly in contact with your respondent. The only difference is that for face-to-face, of course, you are with your respondent, while on telephone survey, you are making use of a telephone or cellular phone. Another one is what we call self-administered approach. For self-administered approach, this is where you as the researcher administers without the actual presence. So you can like just give out the question or the survey questionnaires, and it doesn't necessarily ask you to be there or to join them. The first type of self-administered approach is that paper and pencil survey. This is a traditional method of administering a survey, which entails that respondents be or are accompanied by someone who is computer literate. And so for paper and pencil survey, Well, from the title itself, you can make use of paper and pencil. However, it can also be administered through a computer, wherein somebody will guide the respondent to answer who is a computer literate or marunong sa paggamit ng computer. The next one is online survey. This is very popular right now because during the pandemic, researchers are unable to join their respondents for or they call this one join their respondents in answering their survey questions. And so this is a useful technique for studies which include many respondents from different locations, especially so when you have respondents from other places, far-flung areas, or different groups of people, then online survey can be made use of. Now, this is used to gather information from respondents who live in different areas, as mentioned earlier. It enables all participants to answer through different online platforms. The mostly used application for this one is the Google form. So a link is given to the respondents, while the participants will just answer through their own time. Well, the mail survey now is a um, popular tool that requires an easy administering of the survey, where survey questionnaires are mailed to individuals who are given enough time to read and ponder on the information asked. So this is when a printed form is given to your respondents. However, the disadvantage for this one is that other paper or other survey questionnaires may not come back to you as the researcher. So for online survey kasi it's easier right now, since as soon as you've sent it and the respondents answer immediately, you can actually gather the information already. Very timely. Okay. And then, of course, let's try this out. So, well, again, let's review a bit. Um, there are ways in administering or methods of administering a survey. Now, the first one is called personal approach. This is introduced by Sarah Mason Sarah of 2012. For personal approach, we have face-to-face structured interview and telephone survey. While for self-administered approach, you have paper and pencil survey, online survey, and mail survey. Let's try this out. As you analyze the information above, complete the given table with what you think are the advantages and disadvantages of each method. The mentioned information above here are the following: the self-administered approach and the personal approach. Here is the table that you can follow to get through with the activity. To complete this one, what you have to do is to write the advantages and disadvantages of different methods of survey. This is face-to-face structured interview, telephone survey, paper and pencil survey, mail survey, and online survey. So give the advantages and disadvantages as many as you can. A minimum of at least a minimum of at least 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages. That's the minimum, but you can add more. Again, what you have to do here is to write advantages and disadvantages of different methods on survey questions. Okay? Of course, we have to understand the do's and don'ts of a survey questionnaire after doing that activity. But before you go through with this one, you can pause the video, get back to this activity, and then finish it first before you get through, or before you can start off with the do's and don'ts in survey questionnaire. So you can pause that from here and then restart the video so that you can listen to the different do's and don'ts of a survey questionnaire. So, according to Mora of May 11, 2016, a survey questionnaire should be well constructed so that the respondents could understand it thoroughly and be motivated to complete it. Therefore, a questionnaire should, let's have it here, use words that have clear meaning. The question should not be vague and difficult to comprehend so that the questionnaire will not be left unanswered. Sometimes respondents have the difficulty in understanding the questions. And if it's too much for them, they leave it blank. Okay. Well, it's just the same as taking examinations. If you don't understand it, sometimes you leave it blank. Okay. The next one is that a survey questionnaire should cover all possible options. The respondent should be given 5 ranking options at most so that they will not be tired of choosing from a lot of options, which should not give choices they are looking for. If this will not be observed, this will lead to an abandoned questionnaire. So if there are too much of an option, say for example, there's a ranking of 1 to 10. Sometimes the respondent doesn't even like it, or yeah, cannot relate to having responses such as that much. So we should have at least five rankings, so that, or 5 options that could work, so that the respondent will be able to give interest in answering your questions. However, if it happens that the respondent does not clearly cannot clearly rate whatever the question is about, then the question can be left blank again. Again, the questionnaire should not ask 2 or more questions in one sentence. It's like asking, what is your name? Kumain ka na ba? Dalawagan ng question. Or like, what is your favorite subject? Why is that your favorite subject, in just one item? And so the respondents may not be interested in answering the question because there are too much question in one sentence. What you have to do there is to separate them. The question should focus on one topic or item at the same time so that the respondents will not be confused with choosing answers. That is, for example, if you're giving them a confusion, you're asking them, what is your favorite subject? And then, when was the last time that you ate apple? Diba? So it's a different question. I mean, the topics are different. And so it will not be interesting anymore. Okay. The next one is that it should provide an out option. The survey should give the respondents the option to choose does not apply or none for questions they do not feel comfortable answering. So it's very sensitive for a survey questionnaire to include choices such as others, or does not apply, or none of the above, because sometimes respondents are uncomfortable in answering questions, especially when it's very personal, no? So we should be careful on that one. Also, a survey questionnaire should provide appropriate time reference. Respondents could not easily recall past experiences and be doubtful as to exact measurement or time they spent. So when you guys ask question as the researcher, it should be timely. Like it happened maybe this year or last year. The event has recently just happened, but do not ask questions that happened 10 years ago, 5 or 10 or 20 years ago, because the respondent may not be comfortable in that. Like, he will not be able to remember things such as that. So you should be careful on that one. It also should have a clear question structure. Survey questionnaire should follow 3 parts: the question stem, additional instructions, and response options. The question stem is that when you give a topic, like for example, something that is a little unfamiliar, then you should give them a thought of what this is about. And then if there are other instructions wherein they would need to do, then that's what's going to happen po. And then finally, you have to put response options like A, B, C, D, or options that can go through with just having them to click something or check boxes so that it will be easier for them. Okay. And then should not include personal or embarrassing question. That is very important, because when the questions are very personal and embarrassing, sometimes it will be awkward for your respondents to actually answer them, or they could feel embarrassed. So when they feel embarrassed, as it would seem, hindi na nila sasagutin yun. Okay? Should avoid double negative questions. Double negatives may occur when respondents are asked of their agreement on a certain issue. This should be avoided so that the respondent's response will be clear and precise. Sorry about the shouting. There are kids outside. Okay. And then, of course, should outline instructions or directions clearly and understandably. Clear instructions would lead to positive, appropriate, and clear answers. If respondents are clearly asked and told what to do, they will also foster positive attitude towards answering your questionnaire. So if there is clarity, if they're able to understand from the first reading, then the respondent, as a respondent, he will be able to answer it correctly and on time. The survey questionnaires are actually what do you call this one, very related to time, because when you give it to them, it doesn't sometimes it can happen na magkakaroon ng delay because of it cannot clarify some things, or like the survey questionnaire is not interesting or something, and so we should make sure that all these things are followed. You can go back to the selection so that you will have the idea, because later on you will be asked to actually write a survey questions. These are the tips that you can follow so that you will be able to write a survey question properly. Okay, so first, well, these are the first three. You can pause from there so that you will see what you have to do. Okay, the first three, the second three, and the last group, so that you will be able to make sure that your survey questionnaires are well constructed and the respondents will be able to understand it thoroughly, and of course be motivated to complete answering your survey questionnaire. Okay, now since we have discussed the do's and don'ts for writing a survey questionnaire, what you have to do here is to use the sample questions in the pretest, which was given earlier. Analyze each using the guidelines in the do's and don'ts, which was discussed, of effective questions. Now, be able to determine whether the question is effective or not. You just have to check the effective or not effective side, and then provide your reason. Why is it effective? Why is it not effective? So you can write your answer in a one whole sheet of paper and have your teacher to collect it. Okay, so these are the questions. What you have to do there here in this form is to check, put a check mark if the question is effective. This is number one, and not effective if it's not effective. But of course, you have to reason out. You have to give the reasons why is it effective and why is it not effective. Remember the activity earlier wherein you have to select if it's true or false, since T states that the questions are clear and understandable, while F is for confusing questions. So this is the first question, and then the second one. If it's effective, just check them under the effective side, while if it's not effective, not effective, and then reason out. Okay, these are the questions for the pretests that is also used for this activity. You can pause anytime, since you will have to take time to really reason out why it should be an effective question or not effective at all. And you can also make use of this one to answer the pretest earlier if it's true or false. Okay, so that should be the last one. Now, again, you can get back to recollecting your answers by just pausing and getting back to the part of the video. Sorry. Getting back to the video, I'm sorry about that one. So you can get back to the video where on or parts of the video wherein you found something that interests you or you want to get back to it. So that should be it. Okay. And then the last part of the activity is that, of course, you have to make your own survey questionnaires. So for us to have a one topic, let's try out survey about your classmates' study habits and find out how she or he manages to cope up with his or her lessons. That is out, not put. So find out the study habits and try to like make questions, you know, these questions are related to the study habits of your classmates. Individual activity po yung make your own survey questionnaires, okay? So that should be the end of the lesson 1 for module 6 for 4th quarter. Now, again, you can get back to the parts of the video so that you can relate yourself from the questions or activities, even the discussions. You can pause and read it again so that it will be easier for you to get what is going to happen in this lesson. Okay, thank you very much.